The fog rolled in faster than I could have imagined, like a tide of white that ignored the boundaries of fences and fields. Standing at the farmhouse window, I watched as it swallowed the world inch by inch. The barn faded first, its outline dissolving into shapeless void. My breath fogged the glass as I stared, every rational thought battling the primal urge to hide. It wasn't just a fog. It felt alive. I told myself it was just the way it moved, swirling in unnatural whirls that refused the wind's push. The radio hissed behind me on the kitchen counter, sputtering with bursts of broken voices. Words like danger, unidentified, and stay inside pierced through the static. It was the last tether to sanity, but even it offered no real comfort. The dog barked outside, sharp and frantic. I snapped out of my trance and grabbed the flashlight, fumbling with the latch as the barks shifted into something closer to whimpers. Then, silence. Pure, consuming silence. The beam of the flashlight was useless, swallowed whole by the dense wall of gray as soon as I stepped out onto the porch. I called for the dog once, twice, but the sound felt too thin to cut through the weight of the fog. I retreated inside, shutting the door with a thud that echoed louder than it should have. Every instinct told me to lock it, bolt it, barricade it. But from what? What could the fog possibly do? It was just weather, a trick of moisture and cool air. I kept saying that as I twisted the lock. I didn't realize I was pacing until my feet found the scuffed groove in the floor near the stove. The radio squawked again, loud enough to make me jump. The voices on the other end were panicked now. Not safe. Moving inward. No signal. My fingers hovered over the dial, attempting to fine-tune it, but every adjustment made the message slip further into chaos. A long screech of static erupted, and then the voice was gone. I slapped the radio in frustration, but the only response was dead air. Plates clinked faintly in the cupboard as I leaned over the counter, staring at the empty kitchen like it might offer an answer. That silence again, wrapping the walls of the house like a second skin. No cricket chirps, no creaks from the wind against the old boards. I realized this quiet wasn't normal, not natural. Sound itself had been smothered, and I hadn't even noticed. I caught movement from the corner of my eye, just beyond the window. The flashlight. I'd left it on the porch, its faint beam still casting a small sliver of light toward the yard. Something shifted. A swirling shape passed through the illuminated fog, too dense to be vapor, too shapeless to be anything living. It disappeared, and my stomach lurched as the light flickered once before dying out. I backed away from the sink, my ears straining for some confirmation that I wasn't losing my mind. A deep vibration rippled through the house. Not a sound exactly, but a sensation, like standing too close to the speakers at a concert. The air itself seemed to hum, pressing in from all sides. I scrambled for the flashlight in the drawer, the one I kept for emergencies. When I clicked it on, the relief was temporary, fleeting. The beam of light seemed weaker, hesitant to push against the oppressive grayness that now seemed to press against the windows, as though it wanted in. I gathered every candle, every match I could find. I lit them all at once, the flames bobbing like nervous dancers in the dark. The farmhouse, which had always felt warm, even on the coldest days, now felt cavernous and exposed. My mind betrayed me, summoning images of what might lurk outside. What if the dog had stumbled into something it shouldn't have? I hated the thought. But worse was the scratching under my skin, an itch I couldn't satisfy. What if the fog hadn't just covered him, but had taken him? That word hung in my brain, poisonously vivid. Taken. I shouted then, not words, just raw noise, wanting to hear something, anything, cut through the silence. My voice cracked, carrying no strength or resolve. The fog didn't flinch or falter. It pressed closer, almost like it wanted me to shout again, to exhaust myself. Upstairs, the floor creaked on its own, and my blood ran cold. I froze, every logical part of me demanding I stay on the main floor, where the light pooled. Yet, curiosity bore a sharp edge, and I couldn't resist climbing the stairs. I held my breath as I reached the landing, my eyes darting toward the bedroom at the end of the hall. The door was ajar, the inside cloaked in shadow. I stepped forward, 1 foot at a time, praying the creaks beneath me wouldn't wake whatever unseen thing might be there. The air on the upper level was heavier, thicker, as though the fog outside had seeped through the walls. I could feel it pressing against my lungs, turning every breath into slow labor. I reached the bedroom door, the brass knob cold under my fingers. Slowly, agonizingly slowly, I pushed it open. There was nothing there, nothing I could see at least, and that was worse. Downstairs, the front door rattled, a faint knock emanating from it. It wasn't forceful, more like a gentle tap, tap, tap that might have been caused by the wind, if the wind weren't already gone. I crept back down the stairs, fighting the irrational idea that someone or something was waiting for me. My eyes darted to the windows, but all I saw was gray. Each step felt heavier than the last. When I reached the bottom, the candle flames sputtered briefly. The radio let out one sharp single cry of static, as if spitting its last breath. I approached the door, not to open it, just to listen. A faint pulse of sound emanated, low and rhythmic, almost like breathing. My ear pressed to the wood before I could stop myself. I pulled back sharply, every nerve alight. The rhythmic sound had stopped as if realizing I was there. Something shifted just beyond the threshold, and the silence wrapped tighter around me than ever before. I didn't dare move, didn't dare blink. And then, the knocking returned. Tap, tap, tap. Only now, it wasn't on the door. It was coming from within the house.